Can I say something real quick? I hope I am not offending you. It's just so funny to me that you guys are Ron, Rob, and Ross, or Ross,
Yeah.
something.
I told you. Santiago, we discussed this, and we also discussed what genre those three names are best suited to, and I will not tell you. Okay. Ron and Ross, go ahead and tell us.
Yes.
Do you want to kick that off? Or
You go
should I?
first.
I guess it's my deal. So we had first we had a couple of relationship shots with our two characters in their respective worlds, just doing, like hanging out with girlfriend or hanging out with. I'm not sure what's going on with Ross's character, if they're in a relationship or what, but anyway,
They're just friends.
They're just friends. Okay.
I just keep putting a tank in my garage. I'm just friends.
But so, we did a little of that first to establish the characters, and then we sort of moved into a different mode where Ross has some sort of mysterious danger sense, so he followed these guys who he sensed were dangerous.
Thank God for plot hooks. Yes.
To this location. Meanwhile, my character is sort of working with this immigrant underground railroad type situation. Where we're moving immigrants around and hiding them from deportation. And so the priest who's working with my character on that, Father Ochoa, told me that they had intelligence that the Immigration and Customs Enforcement was going to work with this private security thing to bring in superpowered characters to sort of try to roll up our organization. And so what ended up happening with that is I went and did some detective work and found out that, in fact, the supers were coming to snatch Father Ochoa, my contact, and so I had to rush back there. That was also...
Like you couldn't have seen that coming a mile away, but,
Yeah, it turned out to be where the crawl was heading as well, Ross's character. And so we had...
across town. And we only partially destroyed the church.
Wait, what?
Okay, we totally destroyed the church. It was on fire.
We saved.
You remember the jellyfish character, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not being able to completely recall your character. I'm sorry, what was your name again? I know one of you is from London and the other is from San Antonio, but you are Rod, right?
I'm Rod.
That's right.
I'm Rod, San Antonio. Yeah.
Yes, you're dealing with three distinctly different accents in English too. Sorry, Santiago.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be just two, like an American accent and an English accent.
No, we have a quick on the draw Londoner who speaks fast and harsh even for an Englishman.
I will try and slow down.
No, that's okay. I have no objection. We have a southerner, if you will.
Southerner.
Although the TV southern accent isn't real. That always irritates me, by the way. Having lived in the South, the way they do it on TV is like, oh, stop. But and then me who's got this heinous California accent that I can't shake. So.
What was the Rob character? Because I'm drawing a blank right now, but I remember I saw it drawn and all. You are the one who does the sketches, am I right?
Yeah, the sketches. Yeah, It's the Oblate, the Catholic wizard.
Yes, I remember him now. Yes, yes, of course. He was he was the lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was such a weird concept for me. I loved it.
Yeah, it's a little baroque, I guess. That's probably the reason I had such a hard time coming up with a name for him, because it is kind of a baroque concept.
But it's perfect. When I found the Oblate School of Theology of all things right there in San Antonio, And then...
Well, that's why I know the word.
Right. And, and that's why I threw in that, I made Father Ochoa part of that, and I threw in that church. I had no idea you guys were going to demolish the place. Yeah. And it wasn't even the village. I mean, yeah, okay, they lit it on fire, but only after the two of you punched holes in it all through the fight. Anyway, to catch up from there, not to spend too much time on this.
Yes, but you do have to tell me what is an oblate, please.
It's kind of a like a lay father in a way. It's someone who's taken a vow of service, but is not clergy.
There's actually there's a fair amount of detail about this at the different school, at St. Mary's College and at the Oblate School of Theology, which are the two institutions that he's associated with, or rather, most associated with. And the way it works basically is his position is primarily academic at this point. Well, what occurred was that they prevented this, what appeared to be some kind of special black ops squad of two individuals, in this case, who shared a power of flying and becoming desolid with a kind of a ghostly effect, and but otherwise had very different powers. One of which, called Brimstone, seems to have some ability to rip ideas from people's minds while burning them with fire, and actually badly burned both Father Ochoa and the Oblate in doing this. And then the other one had some sort of super martial arts thing going on, but had a very frustrating time against Crawl, who not only... Well, it was I'm going to bitch about this later, but each villain used his signature move against the heroes as an opening move, and each one had this really high roll to hit, and each one rolled 17 out of 18 maximum, completely missing their super hits on the respective characters. And so the villains came off looking a lot less competent than they are on paper. But anyway, so that as may be, the heroes were able to run down their endurance enough so that they were not able to escape with Father Ochoa. So they did rescue Father Ochoa, who is hospitalized, and so is Michael, the Oblate, also hospitalized, having been rushed to the emergency room by Crawl. And so...
What happened to the Black Ops?
They raced off because they had a choice. They could either stay in and fight against two superheroes that they did not know. They didn't know what they could do, and who were proving, as it happened, partly through bad die rolls, to be formidable opponents. And so, that wasn't really part of their operation to go toe-to-toe, and certainly not to make make this operation public. Furthermore, they had been run down out of endurance, and so they had a choice. They could either, basically... They didn't have the endurance they needed to get out of there with Father Ochoa. Especially because they didn't know, how these guys had found them. So they made the right decision, which was just to get out of there, to drop Father Ochoa and just get out. They'd already brain grabbed him. So they had the information that they wanted. So,
did they? I thought
yeah, that was during round 12. During the initial opening segment 12, remember Brimstone grabbed Father Ochoa and was blazing his brain? And that was while you were still up on the roof. And then...
I remember that, but I thought you said that you rolled surface spots. Well, I guess my character wouldn't know, but I thought you were just commenting for the purpose that he had rolled surface spots only.
That was on you.
Maybe I...
No, that was on you. When he did it to you, he only got surface thoughts.
Okay.
Father Ochoa has considerably less mental defenses than you do.
Okay.
Right. So, on the other hand, he rolled really high for damage on you, so you ended up being physically more badly hurt. The church itself, as I keep saying, was badly damaged, and so we are basically moving to the mid-morning, where we have Michael, painfully receiving medical treatment. We have poor Finn at work.
Indeed.
And now I need to catch the two of you up on some campaign history and things that you would know. One famous individual in Super's, superhero stuff, sort of a bygone wonder rather than a major issue right now, but it is local. Was long ago there was a young character, a boy who had superpowers, which typically doesn't happen in these days and ages of licensing superpowers. That typically isn't something that occurs. Whereas this boy could fly. So he was called the Texas Flying Boy, and was, sort of a celebrity child, as Santiago has said. He's met both Ellen and Jimmy Fallon, and so he's so still though, he's grown up, so nobody gives a shit. Yeah. And so, but as it happens, as a student, he's not native to San Antonio, but comes from an area, of what did you say, about 4 hours drive outside, a far-flung associated place where Rod could probably tell us the most likely. And so now as a student at UTSA, but has been there for a few years, and the university has basically adopted him to be part of their security. So now he wears a university costume and flies around the university aiding the security services, especially in terms of student. He seems to be kind of an advocate against student misbehavior. So he like the campus services whereby women can walk across campus safely and stuff like that. He's up there keeping an eye out, stuff like that.
Can I show a sketch?
Yes, you can. You can attach a sketch to the messaging. Now,
I don't have my phone right now.
Okay.
It, but I can do this.
Oh, sure. Go ahead. There he is.
Oh,
nice. Right. So the amusing thing is that this is what the university came up with for him to wear. Right? So he kind of looks like... He kind of looks like Los Hermanos Pollos Chicken Man, kind of thing. So there he is, flying around. They had a little trouble because a roadrunner is a flightless bird. Right. So so therefore the committees kind of scratched their head and finally ended up calling him Silverbeak. Right.
Yes, exactly.
Right. But
because of the if you see the logo of the Roadrunner at that university, he's got a white beak. The whole other part of the logo is blue and orange. So they went with. It was a bit more lame than Silverbeak. So
Right. So it seems a little ridiculous. On the other hand, the students really like it. Apparently, he does a pretty good job. That's sort of an interesting point. He seems to, in the time that this has gone on, and Ross, your character would know this more through your contacts at UTSA, like Jennifer. Jennifer actually quite likes him. Apparently Silverbeak is not a big stupid waste of time. So that's another thing too. There are two Jennifers in the game now.
Okay.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
Well, I can change mine's name if we have.
I love the idea that in fiction, especially pop fiction, somebody finally admits that two people can have the same name.
Yeah, but it's not supposed to be like that in fiction.
I know, but this is one of my little subversions that I enjoy when that happens.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't enough for you to have Rob and Rod on the same game.
Yeah, but that's the authors, right? So we have a few things to start with. We're going to start again with kind of personal time, and I will start with I'm going to start just with a quick look at situations. And as I already said, we've got Michael, who is a very intense young man. That's the only way. I mean, he does martial arts, right? He's got an advanced degree at the age of 21. He's, got these responsibilities that even his mentors don't understand. And he's gotten wrapped up in politics as well as teaching. He's teaching people who are, hardly a year younger than he is. So, I mean, the only way I can do it, either he's completely snowed under, or he's got kind of this, I'm doing it, kind of look to him. Yeah. I figure that's kind of the latter. Yeah.
I don't think I said he was 21. I think he was a little older.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What age do you want him?
But, I mean, not like 23, 24 is what I was.
That sounds great. That sounds fine.
Okay.
Yeah. And Finn is about the same, as I recall, having, now that he's actually past college graduate age, having not graduated, was sort of my understanding.
Yes.
So Michael, you didn't pass out necessarily at the, due to the fight. So you actually, were brought there by Crawl, who's very fast, and you were not in any shape to do any magicking your way there. But you were able to you were able to go in under your own power. But the trouble is that you were badly hurt, and they would have put you into the critical unit first until they realized that you weren't going to die, which you weren't. You weren't that badly hurt. But then so it's been a full day a full morning of going through a whole lot of medical attention until finally they've kind of got you in a place where it's like, okay, your only real job is to get better, and we're not quite ready to release you yet.
Right.
So you've been moved to a regular room after a lot, and I'm going to say you're tired. I cannot believe your character wouldn't at least fall asleep in an ordinary way. It's been a really big night, right? So I'm not saying you passed out or were unconscious. I am saying a little sleep is a perfectly reasonable thing, especially because hospitals are boring as hell.
Yeah.
And you didn't get to pack a bag to bring there or anything like that. You got nothing to do. So that's you're asleep, is what I'm saying.
I always have books, Ron.
Well, yeah. So even the Oblate always has a book packed in the back, even under his cape, right?
What's
good enough.
Going on?
Good enough. True. I get that. I'm the same kind of person, so that makes perfectly good sense. So you go right ahead and
read. Yeah, that's fine. Read myself to sleep, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I figured it's been a big day, and those dudes even though you guys really held your own against them, they were kind of scary.
Yeah. No, understood.
Yeah. So then. Yeah. Oh, wow. Was that Brimstone? Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So then we've got Finn's situation. And Finn, for the first time, we see him in his, work is a defining factor of modern identity. You are how and what you work. And we see Finn
it has been said.
in his self-actualizing role in the workforce. And what does it look like?
Walking around table in the Starbucks.
Yep.
Passive aggressive saying, "Do you want some coffee with your electricity?"
That's right.
No, seeing coffee is wrong.
That's right.
Maybe I even get to serve somebody. Who knows? And it's boring, and I am keeping myself awake with espressos, and cranky and
right.
Sweet. But I am also buzzing with the fact that I went patrolling the city and found trouble, and would love to tell someone, but can't.
That's right. That's right. So you're I get you. Now, of course, any given team of Starbucks employees or any coffee shop like this at any given time, one of them is the Fink. One of the employees on task at any given time is the one that everyone else knows is spying on them for all of their little misbehaviors at work, right? So, damn well, damn well that Jeff over there is kind of taking notes on the fact that you're having more than your allotted share of in-house beverage, so you're kind of you don't even have to look. You can feel him like noting it down secretly that there's another espresso.
Trying to do that thing where you just get the order just wrong enough, you have to start again. But he knows he's onto these bricks.
Right. Okay. So yes, at the happy, healthy work environment. And so then we have for the first time a look at the office of Gardner Colson. Gardner Colson is the executive branch, the administrative branch of campus security, and is technically Brian's boss. So Michael, Brian, and Finn. Is anyone noting a slight tilt in the ethnicity of our characters? And so we have Brian Black, who, junior, or actually senior, I believe a senior at last year at the University of Texas at San Antonio, who is now talking with Gardner in Gardner's office, and you guys are discussing the what Silverbeak is going to be up to in this next work cycle. And usually, usually you have like a short meeting with Gardner just to check in on things and to confirm reports and sign papers of what you did and your hours and things like that. And it's usually not that big a deal. Sometimes you even just meet for coffee or something. But in this case, this is in his office. He needed you to come in at a particular time. It's a little bit more like a scheduled meeting. So it's just a little bit more formal than usual. And Gardner is a kind of a tough guy, kind of a fleshy face, kind of a looks like he might have been like a bouncer when he was, younger. But on the other hand, he seems to take campus pretty seriously, and he feels very protective about the women on campus. Just hates the idea of, guys at the university, treating the place. He's always fighting with the administration. He's complaining right now about how the administration won't let him make a statement about women on campus because a feminist group wants him to make a statement about women on campus and their concerns, and he wants to make that statement, but the administration won't let him. So it would look bad. So he's pissed. But that's not really what he wants. He just complains about that, and that's kind of a typical complaint on his part. But what he needs to talk to you about, he says, listen, we're about to have a pretty important visitor, and it concerns your role here at the school. And I'm really happy with it, but we've got some problems. So this is a very unfriendly visit, and I just want to let you know there are certain things I can't say. So don't let these guys rattle you. My advice, stonewall. Don't say anything. Don't admit anything. They're going to claim a lot of stuff, okay? So just get ready. You know, if I couldn't call you in earlier, or else they would have actually clocked the time and used it against us in negotiations. So this is like my 30 seconds of warning. You know, and then all of a sudden in walks, you know, a couple of people. And so, right. And they look, one of them is very quiet and doesn't really do anything except sort of record everything with his eyes and his ears. And he's older. He looks like he's maybe about 60. In a boring suit. The other one, who introduces himself as Fred, is very outgoing. And he's not much older than you are, surprisingly. He's very, you know, perky and very charming. You know, hi, Fred. Great to meet you. You know, Brian, it's remarkable what you've achieved here, and I just want to let you know I really admire what's happening here at the University of Texas at San Antonio, which he says in full, which, to your knowledge, you don't think you've heard that phrase said in full like your entire time that you've ever been at the school. So, but yes, so he's kind of, in English, in American English, he's snowing you.
Snowing me?
To snow you is to just give you all this, yeah, exactly. To give you all this pleasant talk, all of this charming, friendly atmosphere for the conversation before he knifes you. So,
all right.
Yeah.
How am I dressed? I am like in my civil clothes. I am in uniform, but without the helmet. I am full guard.
Well, this was just a meeting with Gardner, and it's in the middle of the morning, so I figure you're not on duty.
Yeah, of course. Yes. Yeah,
is my guess.
All right.
Yeah, so I think you're probably just in casual, almost completely student clothes, kind of like what I'm wearing at the moment. You know.
Good. Good. Perfect. And so I'm friendly with the guy. Of course, I return the pleasantries as Americans usually do. They are. I'm told that Americans are really skilled at being nice. And so I tell him that it is great to also to have him at the, I don't say University of Texas in San Antonio, I say UTSA, and I turn to the other guy and try to take his hand as well. The old guy.
Right. He reacts formally enough, and he's. Yes. He's Mr. Volsky. And he's here to, yes, he says, yes, I'm, Mr. Volsky. He says, he doesn't even say I am or my name is. And so,
right.
but very formal. He's not threatening or anything, just completely, informative. Now, I can see Rod over there getting more and more nervous by the second.
I double down on Mr. Borsi or whatever. I repeat his name, like Mr. Borsi, nice to meet you, and I tap him a bit on the shoulder. Have you had a long trip? Come from far? Do you have a good flight?
So yes, Fred will step in and happily inform you all about how yes, that they flew in. They're from a relatively regional office. They're in New Mexico. So this is the New Mexico offices from Monsanto.
Mexico is a different state.
That's right.
Texas, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, but it's not that far away. Well, from a European standpoint, it's a really long way away. But from an American standpoint, it's they've spent a while traveling, but it's not like they spent a week. So, does New Mexico touch Texas, Rod?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It fits into the little slot there. Yeah. So anyway, yes, they flew in, and they're from Monsanto, and they're here on right. They're here on a business matter because, as you know, there has been some legal discussion of the jurisdiction regarding your abilities and the use thereof. And so, if you're a socially skilled person with your background, so you can feel Gardner, or Guard, as everyone calls him. You can feel Guard over there behind his desk, just like really not liking this. And what it comes down to is that Monsanto is challenging UTSA's use of your flying abilities and branding them with their logo and their mascot, which your use, Silverbeak or no Silverbeak, clearly implies the Roadrunner. And so, they're onto you on that. You're not going to get around that branding, with your little trick there. And so
I start floating like a feet and a half above the floor when we start discussing my powers, like showing off a bit.
Oh, I see. So you're actually going to fly a little bit. Oh, you mean these? Right.
No, yeah, not fly, but just as we speak, I'm going like this.
Right. Right.
I'm studying it like, I think in metric it will be like, I don't know, like this.
Sure, I got it. Yeah. So the important point too is that as this discussion goes on, and you're starting to realize that through all of the friendly legal language, that Monsanto actually wants to benefit from this. They want you to wear the Monsanto logo, and they want a relationship. The school is going to have to pay for the use of this. Now, this is tricky because you inherited your powers. You yourself were not on the contract. But Monsanto's been fighting this all your life in one fashion or another.
Yeah, but I pay my license every month.
Right, but the school hasn't. You have, that's fine. That was all settled long ago with your parents. But the school hasn't. So the University of Texas has to pay Monsanto too, as far as they're concerned. Particularly for the use of that brands that they want to stick on you. So,
but
right.
I've never participated in any official capacity. As you know, I'm not. I never go to the football matches with the mascot. Rob is a totally different guy.
Right? Yeah, Rob's over there. He's wearing the Roadrunner outfit. That's not me, right? Yeah.
I'm Silverbeak. I'm not the Roadrunner.
Right. Rowdy, by the way. The name of the mascot is Rowdy the Roadrunner, right? So you're not Rowdy.
Roadrunner, yes.
Yes. So, Rod, as you can see, we've both been doing our research on this.
I see. Well done.
Yeah. Well done. So, so not to keep this going for too long, but this discussion is a little bit dangerous because obviously the university is not inclined to pay plenty of money. And the trouble is, if you don't have this gig with the university, then your tuition break is going to go away, right? So, this is an issue. You already know as we'll discover through play in a bit, you already know that your parents are struggling through, financial problems of their own. So this is looking a little bit tricky. Guard tries to interject that, this isn't going to, to support you, but Fred shoots him down instantly that you are an employee of the University of Texas and that you are indeed, using your powers in that capacity, rowdy or no rowdy. And so, therefore, this is a big deal. So this discussion is going on. That's when your powers kick in, as they do. And so, therefore, you're going to be making an ego roll, an ego attack roll.
I have a graphic depiction for my powers.
Okay, although I did go with the invisible special effects that you wanted initially for this.
But for the third.
Okay. Okay.
It's really a really small thing, stupid, but
okay.
I thought a bit with when I was designing this sketch, I talked with my friends who draw comics.
Ah.
And one of them, when I told him about, I didn't do it all on my own because I needed a bit of a thing. And
I highly approve. This is fantastic. What did he draw?
Well, I don't have his drawing, but in my drawing I included what he did. It's a really small, stupid thing. But he made like rings because I
yeah, so it's perfect. Yeah, it's a thought balloon, but it's cool. Yeah.
Rings that
right,
and they are orange or blue, like the university,
Right.
So that's what it looks like when his powers kicking suddenly, like.
Right. So what he's got is he's got uncontrollable input broadcast telepathy. So they kicks off and like all the voices in everybody's head start like pounding him, right? And so therefore roll 3d6.
But no one knows I've got it.
That's right, because it's invisible special effects. Right. Monsanto doesn't know about it. That's the interesting part.
Yeah, it's a mutation of the Monsanto original gene sequence. I don't want them to find out because they would start charging me more.
That's right. At the very least, or dissecting you, because you're one of the only instances of people actually inheriting powers. So, so therefore, go ahead and roll 3 dice because you're making an ego combat value attack. You have an ego of 21, so therefore your combat value is 7. So what you'll do, 3 of those. And tell me the total.
Yeah, give me a minute. What am I aiming for?
Okay. Your combat value subtracts your target's combat value. And then we take that difference and we add it to 11. And that's what you're rolling on the dice. You want to get that number or less. Yeah, see, Santiago, unused to this kind of game design, is like, what the hell? Right? But, so therefore, I know.
What do I do?
Just add them up and tell me what you get.
I add them. 13.
13. Okay, so that's good. You've got a very high combat value in ego terms, and so you definitely pick up everybody's surface thoughts. In fact, roll 7d6 now. 7 of those dice.
7.
I hope you can add quickly. That's another detail of champions.
terrible at that. Oh, one of them fell. No, worries. I have another one. They're all so small. So I'm going to be adding in Spanish, which will make it faster.
No problem.
20.
Perfect. Okay. So 20 is actually not too bad for a roll of this kind in some cases. You're only picking up surface thoughts from the people in the room. You will get the least from Mr. Vorsky. Mr. Vorsky is the only thing that you're getting is the fact that he is almost photographically recording everything that's being said. What you get back from him immediately is everything that's happening, kind of like a feedback effect, which just lets you know he's constant, he's in total...
You like
hold on.
What is that about the feedback?
Only that I'm telling you what you're reading from Mr. Vorsky.
Yes.
What you're reading from Mr. Vorsky is only the perceptions that he's getting from everybody talking.
Yeah.
So he's concentrating very hard on that. From Guard, you're instantly picking up that he's absolutely convinced that you guys are screwed. He's like, what am I going to do without Silverbeak? What am I going to do without Silverbeak? Monsanto's going to crush us. Nobody's going to back me up. The administration's going to cave. Those total, the administration, he uses a word which is not nice, referring to the higher administration and their backbones. So he's really scared about this. And then finally, from Fred, what you have is he thinks you are going to be a total pushover. He's thoroughly enjoying crushing your pansy ass. This is going to get him a promotion. He's counting all of his wins in his head while he's speaking almost automatically about this. Maybe he can even be like the manager of your account. That'll be good. That'll be a promotion for him. He's going to enjoy running you. Rod, did you have a question or something?
No. Well, is everyone else seeing a lot of flickering on?
Only a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Okay. Now so that's just a quick look at what everybody's kind of up to and doing. I want to go to Michael for the main interaction I have in mind, but if either Santiago or Ross wants to do something proactive, let me know right now.
Not right now.
Okay. Ross, the only thing I want to tell you about Finn's circumstances is that you had no time to check anything in the garage in order to make it to work.
That's good then.
Right. So...
Yes. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, probably not later, I said I'd stop by the hospital, check out what...
Right.
So on as well later, so... Lots of time for something to steer in the garage.
That's what I was thinking. Absolutely. And so then we have, in the case of Santiago, was there anything you wanted to do that was proactive? Any position you want to take? Any kind of assertive thing you want to do, if anything?
Yeah, I want to know what is it that they want. They want the university to pay for a license. They want to get in on the branding business of me wearing a Monsanto shirt. What is it they are after? I simply tell them that I'm like a regular police officer at the campus, and that it's just that I fly and other people don't, but I pay my license for flying, and they are all like, this is paying for and I'm like, so what? Are we going to let the lawyers decide, or do you want me to stop? Do you want me to...
Right. No, they think this is a fine idea, but they need to have a Monsanto representative on campus to oversee the proper usage of their property. Which is the power that you use, as far as they're concerned. And so this is a little tricky because that's a legal gray area, but if they can get that representative, then they can use it as a precedent to establish full ownership later. This is typical thing. If you act like you're the manager of it and other people put up with you, then you say you have a legal right to manage it later. So they want the university, and they do this by threatening the university very nicely, but threatening them nonetheless. So they've already filed like some kind of action. Fred said, we've already filed, and then he kind of pauses for a second, And Mr. Vorsky very quietly says the number and the classification of the action that was filed. Right. And so they've already sort of started legal proceedings that probably aren't going to go anywhere, but are enough to scare the shit out of a university administration. So that's what they're up to. And they also, so they want a representative on campus who will work with Gardner, they say, in overseeing the use of, they always call it, they never say you flying or you, or they never refer to you. They refer to the property. Right. So yeah, okay, good enough. Go ahead and make a presence attack. When you're talking to Fred and actually asking him, what does he want here, you're exerting your personality in a way that he has been trying to avoid. So you're going to make a presence attack, and Right. So demonstrating your power, in a mild way, so that's an extra die. So that means you've got, for your presence, 1 die for every 5 points. And you've got 25 presence plus an extra die. So that's 6 dice. Yeah, did you see them react? This weedy little kid wearing a chicken suit actually handles himself, particularly when he flies. He never looks goony when he flies. When he flies, he's got the right posture every single second. Landing, rising, hovering, whatever it is, he's got the right posture, and he grew up with cameras. He looks right at you, and he knows exactly how to say it. Right? So
point landing every time, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So 6 dice of presence attack is not a small deal.
All right. $23.
Fantastic. Fred is rattled. He loses his track entirely. Mr. Gorski, and your telepathy is picking it up. You actually broke his concentration. The effect is less than on Fred, but you broke Mr. Vorsky's concentration, and you can even see him kind of blink and start. And now he's thinking, we need. He says he's thinking to himself, we'll need something more for this kid. We might have to make a concession. We might have to give a little. This kid's not a pushover. Whereas Fred is totally rattled and his thoughts are firing off all these directions. He went off script. And he's not, and he can tell. He's like all bullies. He can tell, he's not going to be able to just push you around. And now it never occurred to him this would be the case. And so he's basically going to close the meeting because he can't think of what to do.
Well, I start shaking Fred's hand, asking him if he wants me to fly him to New Mexico so he can stay. I can actually fly them both to New Mexico, and that's where I look at Borsky, and that would save your company maybe a bit of money. And then without totally letting go of Fred's hand, I lean in towards Borsky, well, I'm in the air, but it's
right.
Like if it was a whole step, And I tell him, you know what? It's been a while since I've heard of you, Monsanto boys. I really wish they had sent someone from not from legal, but from their branding and media department, because my family and I have been trying to get some sort of official sponsorship for years. I remember being a kid and being on TV and never had a response from you, and many times we weren't even allowed to say the name Monsanto on screen on my appearances, so you see and whatnot, because you guys were going through that thing at the time.
Mr.
Yeah, so I'm like.
Right. Mr. Vorsky is looking at you with some respect. He's kind of nodding and saying, "Message received, kid. We'll be seeing you later. I'll look." Right.
Yeah, they let me hanging for like 2 generations. Now they show up. I could have used the money before.
Fred starts to try to argue back. Vorsky shuts him up and gets him out of there. Right. So, basically, Gardner's like, yes, good job, all right, Brian, yeah, exactly. So,
I go back to the floor.
Right. Okay, so he's going to tell you a little bit more about what to do next, but I want to hop to Michael. Because one thing that might be occurring to you is that, there wasn't time to deal with this before, but now it's time to sign a lot of papers. And one thing that you know is that your health insurance, they're going to ask you for your health insurance. And you might be a little worried about this, Michael, because the health coverage at your sort of grad student-y level is, shall we say, nominal?
Right.
So... Therefore, you're kind of wondering, how am I gonna cope with this? So you might be a little surprised when they say, "All right, Mr. Solis, just sign right here, and insurance is all set."
Yeah, it's a lease. I'll sign.
Yeah, but it's not an insurance company you've ever seen before, and it's through it's through a corporation that you're not associated with. You recognize it. It's a telecommunications company that Amanda works for.
Oh.
She says, "Don't worry. Your spouse has it all, your spouse's insurance has it all set."
Okay, I see what happened. I'm just going to have to... I guess I'll just have to swallow my pride and sign the paper. We can discuss that later.
Excellent.
I mean, yeah.
All right, so the next thing that will happen to you is a double-barreled blast. One of them is Dr. Connolly, who sweeps in a spiky-haired storm of concern and upset. And then the other one who comes in at the same time is Amanda, who comes in full of concern and full of, of stress. So 2 extremely stressed women show up in your hospital room simultaneously, talking at once.
Okay. Okay, it's all right. I'm going to be okay for now. I am not in any serious... I can recover from this, they say, just fine. Let's back up and take things one at a time.
And again, they agree. They say, "Oh, yes," and then each starts talking simultaneously. And so so there's a little bit of kind of a jurisdictional, debate here. But ultimately, when things get sorted out, Dr. Connolly did not know about anything last night. All she knows is that that Father Ochoa was badly injured at this, and you were badly injured at this destruction, this fiery destruction at the Oblate, the Oblate School's church. And she, and she knows that something going on with the Oblate was involved, and so she is like, what on earth is going on? Dean Wayland is going berserk. And he's doing everything he can to keep this away from the board. Michael, nobody knows. We were just about to release the news of the Oblate. What happened here? And then she looks at Amanda, and she's trying not to like come out and say that, you're the Oblate, what were you doing? She's trying not to say that. Right. So she's a little hampered in her direct questioning, but you can see her biting her tongue because of the person she doesn't know that well in the room. And Amanda at the same time is saying, I told you that getting involved with this Ochoa person, I told you that was getting in past anything that you're obliged to do. And she says, but so I'm so worried about you. So that the two of them are basically demanding some kind of justification. Amanda's not stupid, though, and she's starting to look at Dr. Connolly in a very suspicious way, like, what? And she'll even turn to her and say, what was Michael doing there anyway? Dr. Connolly will snap at her, I don't know. That's why I'm here.
I told you last night I was guessing a case with Father Ochoa that was very important. And he was attacked by some sort of, I'm going to go ahead and say, domestic terrorists. Fortunately, or however you want to put it, the Oblate and the jellyfish were...
That would be
what
Crawl.
What are they calling him?
Crawl.
Sorry, Crawl. No, I actually know, I'm saying.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes, plausible deniability.
Right.
But we're somehow on the scene and rescued Father Ochoa. I crawled into a confessional, but there was a lot of fire being thrown around.
Dr. Connolly's looking at you with narrowed eyes and says, what? We have, the department at this point is currently making a statement to the police, which is why they haven't come to you. We've used whatever pull we have in order for the statement to be an official one and not letting them interrogate you directly. It's a really sensitive question whether we're going to go with this being some kind of accident that neither you nor Father Ochoa can explain, or if we're going to pull in some kind of superpowered flight. Let me make it clear, Michael, the Oblate cannot be associated with this event.
Well, if that's your decision to make.
Right. Then the two women look at each other and say simultaneously variants on the phrase, "Can I have a little privacy with Michael, please?" And then they both look at you, realizing that they're both requesting privacy with you. And then they both look at you. So which one are you going to talk with alone first?
if I may, Amanda first, Dr. Connolly.
She gives you kind of a don't say anything important look without using those words, just her look, don't say anything important kind of look, and then she goes.
Right.
So Amanda, looks at you and says, "Oh, so that's Dr. Connolly." He says,
"Yep." She's extremely opinionated.
First of all, okay, one thing I'm not that clear on, Rod, is Amanda aware that you're the Oblate? Because I was sort of under the impression that she wasn't. Because the Oblate's not quite public yet.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking she was not.
Right, let's go with that. Let's go with it.
Okay.
Yeah. And so she knows, though, that you're involved in all this activism. And so that's what she's responding to. Gentlemen, excuse me just for a moment. You can't be here making that noise. What are you talking? No, use words. I don't know about the Simpsons book in your bed, but there were lots of the books you brought to our bedroom last night that are in my bedroom. Probably there. Yes, the location of the Simpsons comic book that he wants for his bedtime story is to be located. All right, well, I'm sorry I'm taking a little more time on these interactions than I was planning, but Amanda is talking to you first, and so she says, all right, Michael, relationship rule, you're not a cop, you understand that working with radicals like that guy is illegal. All right? And I get it that you care. I care too. But people who drag you out in the middle of the night and get you blown up, terrorists, my ass. What was it? Some kind of ICE strike against this guy that was willing to blow up a church? That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Oh. I'm just going to change it to Oblate.
Okay. So she says, well, anyway, she says, look, she says, and gets real reconciliatory. We kind of have to talk a little bit about the insurance.
Oh. What, you did something? Take it?
They had you sign. She looking really rich. They came already? Kind of swallowing hard?
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael, we're married.
Okay. Is that,
legally, it's all done. Certificate, the works.
Okay. Oh, all right. Did you want to have a wedding?
Well, yes, very much. But I knew. What with all the insurance things that are going on and all of the. I figured that
First of all, thank you.
She's really relieved.
Second, just something when did you fill out the paperwork?
Back when you got this position, coming out of when you graduated from college, I looked at the paperwork when you were, getting ready, and I helped you fill all that stuff out and everything, and that insurance is shit, Michael. That isn't anything.
Yeah.
So I have this really good deal, and so it covers family and no deductibles or anything. It's really good, and so
How long ago was that? Out of character?
About a year.
Months, about a year. So out of annulment range, in other words.
That's a good question, I guess. But also, it's it's a civic thing. It's not at this point where she's only talking about from the legal standpoint. From the legal standpoint, right. I mean, filing, for amicable divorce is not that hard.
Right.
If you wanted to do that, or so the next best thing to an annulment could be done.
Yeah, I'm just
with a good lawyer that it was done against your will and with a false signature, you could get an annulment like that. It wouldn't be a very nice thing, but right.
That's not what I'm aiming at.
Oh my God, then.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Well, there's something you should know before you make any irrevocable decisions, which I know you already, but a lot of decisions aren't really irrevocable. Anyway, I'm, just... Can you sit down, please?
She sits down and says, I understand about the religion thing, okay? And I'm really sorry, but I'm totally okay with that.
No. Close your eyes.
She kind of gives you a funny look and goes, all right. She owes you this. What with this? Yes, so she does.
And Shane.
Oh, okay. All right. So she opens her right, and it's right, and it's a shock. She's like, "What?"
I'll offer a bit of bed.
Right. Yes. Well,
This is what's been happening.
So manifestation of occultism all around you and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
This is why those things have been happening. I'm not.
So you were in a fight with some kind of superpowered... Yes. Michael, you got really hurt. Are you sure you can do this?
Yeah, look.
It's not what you want to hear, right?
Yeah. Look, this is the first time I've been in a fight up against serious opposition. I know what to do now. I know how the phases work and that they cannot end their phase desolid.
That's right.
Yeah. No, but in character, I'm saying.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's not going to happen again if I have to fight these guys again. I have a lot of resources that I haven't even begun to tap.
How do I? Yeah, exactly. Well, she says, I believe you. I can see that. How did you get burned? Who burned you? Now she's kind of get the she-wolf thing. Who burned you?
I believe he was an agent of a private security company working off books for the immigration department.
She says, that wouldn't surprise me a bit. All right, she says, you wouldn't believe what comes across my desk at a telecom agency. Says, you can bet there's chatter about this, and you can bet that anything I ever signed about confidentiality to those people stops at our marriage certificate.
I understand. I appreciate it.
Right. She says, all right, superhero, she says, pats your shoulder, and says, is she your boss? I mean... This is a St. Mary's thing?
Yeah, she's technically my faculty advisor for my graduate program, and so she is my boss as I forget what the instructor position I have. It's called.
Right, the instructor, yeah.
As a cosmic superhero, it's not clear that I have a boss. So that's all being worked out.
She says, it sounds like I might need to talk to one of my friends in legal. We might be able to get a better deal for you. She says, that little beer get together may seem like a bunch of just chattering little yuppie women to you, but we've got some pull when we put our heads together. Says, time for a little bit more, clout on your side, I think. So, great. Okay.
Anything you could do would be great. And actually, I don't actually have a problem.
Ah, excellent. Oh, okay. So she says, she has a big, I guess this is what they talk about, one of those little milestones we get to encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Well, all right, babe.
Should I tell my parents we're married? Or they might flip out.
Yeah, I don't think the Mexican-Irish mafia is really going to enjoy a civic wedding under their noses. Let's a civil ceremony under their noses. Maybe we should do it the way they want. Announce the engagement. Take it from there.
I have to pull out of in character for a second.
Yeah.
Is it clear that my character is Latino?
No, she's Cabrera, remember?
Yeah.
No, so she's referring to the Mexican-Irish mafia. She's talking about... Oh, wait, I was thinking Walsh. No, you're Solis.
Oh, yeah.
Right, sorry.
Solis, yeah.
Right, so she would just... Solis, yeah, no, she would say the Mexican mafia is what she would say in reference to her own background.
Okay.
And so
I just wanted to clarify what was happening.
And so, and of course, you're an observant Catholic, and your family is too, so she knows that.
Yeah.
So she says, so she says, no, the families aren't going to hack that. We're just going to have to announce the engagement and go with it all the way through, the way they want it. So.
Yep. Okay.
Well. All right. Well, she says, happy engagement, and gives you a kiss. And says, but before we lawyer up, don't let that woman push you around. And so she leaves, giving you a look over her shoulder that is curiously similar to the same look that Dr. Connolly gave you on her way out. So, right. All right, then.
All right. I'll go back to the way I was.
Excellent. So, without playing through the Dr. Connolly scene, I'm only going to say that what she's concerned about mainly is that you were going off being the Oblate without it being like a St. Mary's thing, with instead, Father Ochoa calls you out of the middle of the night. That's the only thing I want to ask you. Are you going to tell her that he told you that Dr. Wayland had actually finked on them to ICE?
Yes.
Ah. Okay. Right. She's going to be astounded. That to her is like, No, that's a big one for her. She's amazed. I mean, John's a careerist and has his own thoughts on what to do with the program, the Oblate program, but with the Lexicon project, but not, the thought that he would turn on us for that.
Well, yeah. Well, Michael will just get in and say, well, to get down to business, are you going to take point on fronting him about that?
I think she says, I think I have to. I mean, we've got some administrative decisions to make. But you're the one who's on the front line. You're the one who got hurt. Do I understand correctly that you actually saved? Were they trying to kill Father Ochoa?
They were trying to abduct him at the very end.
And you stopped him?
Yes, I beat their fists with my face until they left.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, you did she says, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. If that was a professional hit squad from something like and you had told her about the Blackwater connection, right? With Z?
Yeah.
If that was a super hit squad from Z, then you were up against the best. I'm impressed, Michael.
Now.
And so did you? And you said Kroll was there.
Yeah, he's a stand-up guy. And by the way, it takes a lot to even make a dent in that guy.
He's a wild card, Michael. He's unlicensed.
I understand that, but
all of this
superhero shit is wild card stuff. I mean,
yeah, she says I'm beginning to get that. All right, listen, I meant it. We can't go public with your involvement here. It would taint the entire process of the legitimacy of the project and your participation in it. And I'm not quite ready to go underground.
All right. I'll tell you what. I am planning to get back in touch with the Crawl later. I don't think he's going public either, but I'll just talk to him about possibly having the story be that he was the only one on the scene. Frankly, he was good for both of those guys. So,
I gotta tell you, Father Ochoa is in bad shape. They did something to his mind. He actually was hurt, not as badly as you, but he's not right, Michael. They damaged him somehow.
Okay, that's another thing that I potentially have resources to deal with. As soon as I'm clear of this situation, that's my first priority.
Okay, I'll get to work on that right away, because we can, as the sort of the official body that's got you admitted here, I can take care of that part. Let's get you out of here.
Okay.
Right.
Cheryl?
Right.
Before, one more thing, Cheryl. Do you have any insiders at ICE?
At ICE?
Yeah.
No. Right. I mean, we've always been an academic and professional institution. I confess I wasn't really ready to play at this level. I was actually kind of scared at where Father Ochoa was taking us so fast, and it seems I had good reason. We're going to have to get a little tough. We're going to have to toughen up. Looks like.
That's the plan.
Okay. All right. Geez, this is rolling along. So, Finn, you said you wanted to go and visit Michael. Was that correct?
I did tell him I would before I left last night, so I think I probably should show up with a bunch of grapes. Is that something Americans do?
Grapes?
Obviously not. I'll pick my book on the way.
Okay.
You probably would do well to pick up like a...
You take grapes.
You take grapes. Well, the only thing I can think of that would be an equivalent would be a Chipotle burrito. So, you know...
That would be appreciated.
Right.
That's not like that.
Mm-hmm. So,
obviously, a few winning smiles to the nurse at the nurse's station to find out where he is. And
actually, what will happen is that you'll get an assistant or something will stick their head in, Michael, and say, because you're not under like heavy security or anything like that. I mean, you're not in the intensive care. You're not in, so all it takes is just your permission. They say there's some, Finn Walsh is here to see you.
Yeah, I know him.
Okay, that's all it takes. So you'll head in looking like yourself, right? Your good-looking self.
Right.
And so this is the first time you've seen Kroll looking like himself. So it's kind of nice, the first time you two have seen each other out of costume, and you're just two young guys who kind of like suss each other out socioeconomically really fast.
Right.
Hi, Michael.
Hi. Thanks for coming.
Nice place. Do you need me to help bust you out before they come around with the bill?
No, that's been taken care of. I've got we've got some
very nice.
Got some heavy hitters on my team apparently.
Heavy hitters. That reminds. What have you got into? Beating up priests, burning down churches. What the hell?
This has something to do with it's got something to do with our immigration work. We've been trying to keep people from getting deported. It's all been not totally above board, but in my opinion, this is a massive overreaction and completely, obscenely immoral.
Okay.
And I thank you for being there. I did have one thing to. The university is going to try to, for now, they want the Oblate's involvement to be off the books for
on
this.
The down low sort of thing.
Yeah, basically they want this to have been completely a matter of the Crawl fighting some mysterious supervillains, which technically it was, since I didn't do very much in the fight. And I just wanted to make sure. Are you okay with that?
I guess.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you want to say supervillain, the Crawl qualifies legally, which is one problem. And if those guys were operating for a government agency, under the context of Homeland and border security, and as Eric Prince has assured Congress, every member of his company bleeds red, white, and blue.
Right.
That's quote.
Yeah, sure. So if you can make sure.
So making a big deal about the Oblate fighting these guys or anything like that, or sorry, the Crawl fighting these guys, you're going to get like a federal manhunt for the Crawl underway.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
If it's the true story, I was just there. They threw some punches. They set the place on fire.
Right. Nobody but them saw either. Right. Nobody but them saw either of you too. So it's not as though you even have to say that Crawl was involved at all.
Right. Well,
it's probably just best we
mysterious super being. Yeah. No one knows anything. Mysterious super beings. Fire. God knows what. Fine.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe that whole terror, maybe the terrorist bullshit line is the way it's going to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Mm-hmm. Which is why your assignment, Brian, for the next day at the university, your assignment is to oversee a rally that's being held on campus. And the rally is by a conservative student group with considerable number of guests and speakers from off campus who are dedicated to preventing this government interfering in our lives by not stopping the immigration. Right. The logic being that government needs to stay out of our lives, but also we need the government to keep all of those illegal immigrants out of here. And so there's going to be this big rally, and One of the groups that's coming from off campus is a group that has been tagged as a hate speech group. And so there's this huge campus protest against their participation. And so, there's a whole controversy about this. Finn, you have heard all about this when Jennifer gets in touch with you and is telling you that she's not going to make it today. She's not going to stop by the garage today. This is going down on campus, and she's going to be at the protest that's going to be at this rally, and is going to, we're not going to let these people spew their hate on campus.
So just look after yourself. Stay out of trouble, because it's.
She says,
I'm getting asked for it.
That's I've kind of already been kind of a bunch of us have been threatened online. Okay, would it be okay if you came too?
Yes,
could you come?
Yeah, sure. I can come out. I can meet you. I've got another early shift tomorrow, but I can do this afternoon.
All right. So she tells you it's going to be the early afternoon, and so this is the next day, I guess. But so anyway, yes, you are. That's what's going on. Then your job, Brian, is of course to fly over everything, especially because the local police have informed campus security that they have suspicion that a radical leftist anarchist group is going to infiltrate the student protest and is going to react violently. And so all the campus security has been alerted to look out for Antifa and anyone who looks like them, and to operate with extreme force against them, because they constitute a real and present danger to campus, to our students. And the university administration... Say that again?
What I don't get is, can people from outside the university join a protest? Don't you have to be part of the university to protest? Is the protest in the university? I don't get it.
Yes, that's true, but often student groups will invite other groups to send representatives or to have people join. As long as they don't make a public statement, then they can do it.
I imagine it's not hard for someone to get onto campus.
Right, that's correct too.
Neat. Yeah. It's not like it's...
Yeah, you can just walk onto campus. Yeah.
Really? You can? Because I thought that because it wasn't public, you couldn't just walk in. So you can walk into campus.
Right. A lot of our public universities are more or less continuous with the city that they're in. So you can walk on and off of public land in university land, city land and university land, with no regulation at all. Yeah.
I get it confused because you have to pay to attend, but it's public anyway. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
That's
the logic does tend to escape people in other countries. That's true.
What's the Shani info on this? Because my Shani, because she's obviously a part of it. What intel do I get from her beforehand? Right.
Well, the only unfortunately, the tip from the police to campus security about perhaps the Antifa group that may be involved is nothing but a police tip with no actual backstopping of information. So they just say, because we say so. So that's unknown. On the other hand, the message that the people at the rally will be delivering is well known. Their position is that, everyone knows that illegal immigrants, unlike the immigrants in the past, but today's immigrants are all rapists and murderers, and that we need to keep safe. That we can't let the liberals let in all these criminals at the same time as they're letting all the criminals out of prison all the time. Right? So, therefore, we'll be awash in criminals if these people have their way, so we have to stop them. And I wish I could be stating this as a caricature, as if I was lampooning these people. No, but unfortunately, I am pretty much quoting them outright. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you will. I mean, I think you would find it funny about how it is in Argentina, because I think it is funny that we can be a third world country with racist people against immigration. Like, if I told you guys that people from Argentina are racist towards people from Bolivia and Paraguay, it's all the same to you, you know?
Right.
And to us, to the ones who aren't like that, like, what do you think you're actually better than someone from Paraguay? You're from Argentina. I mean, it's not like you live in Canada or something, you know? And especially where I live, as you can see, I am, I guess, a white person, and everyone I know in the region I live has at least one Italian grandparent, or at least one father of their grandparents is Italian. And still they're like, no, these people that are coming right now, like the Chinese and
those foreigners, the foreigners, they say, right?
Yeah, those guys, they are not like my grandparents who came here to work. And
that's right.
Your father was fleeing World War II and was
right. He was desperate. He could have been anybody. Right.
Yeah. And you talk smack about the guy from Paraguay who is doing your walls in your new house.
Right.
And what do you think your grandfather was when he came here? You know, it's mind blowing. You know.
Well, let's just say that this rhetoric is the same worldwide. So,
yes.
Yeah. So we have.
So what I want to know is, you know, my ex-girlfriend Jenny, that she's
right.
always in.
Strangely enough, there is another political student at the UTSA, also named Jennifer, who is involved in this. Right. So, you know, well, come on, it's not that surprising. In a group of several thousand students at any university in the United States, pretty sure that 2 of them are going to be named Jennifer.
Yeah.
Right.
So, my Jennifer, what I want to ask you, I don't know if you got it, is that's what can I want to ask her, you know, before the thing. I want to message her, you know, with the phone and ask her if I should be suspicious counter process. Like, what's their plan for the counter process? I mean,
got it. Right. Well, she's kind of. This is kind of interesting. This is your ex-girlfriend that you're friendly with.
Yes.
And she and Matt are going to be there. And Matt, over the last year, has changed his appearance. Okay? Matt came to school with a completely generic television appearance, high school kid from somewhere local in San Antonio, you know, completely. Now he's got his head almost completely shaved, real short crew cut, and he's wearing these glasses with no rims, small glasses with no rims, right? And he's got a little goatee. Right. In fact, probably even like just a little chin beard, right? A little chin beard and a little mustache. That's it. And he's been taken to wearing like these black T-shirts all the time. Okay. And so this has been happening over the course of the last year. Jenny doesn't look any different than usual. And she's always kind of been interested in politics and talk politics, but she hasn't ever really been intense, right? But Matt's been kind of getting more and more and more intense about this over the last year.
She was more interested. I mean, I was not interested at all. That's one of the things that took us apart.
Right. Well, she's very committed. No question. You know? She's very committed. Right. Yeah. So, but anyway, so talking with you, now everybody knows that you work for campus security. And although you're liked, you know, it's kind of, you're kind of like the campus cops now, you know, it's not quite as, all I'm going to say is when she meets you, it's not a very public or social meeting. And Matt's not there. Right. So and so you can tell she's concerned. She's worried. She's like, this is the first time. I mean, yeah. I have to trust you, Brian. I have to trust you that you're not just going to turn around and tell everything to the people you work for. Just like I'm not telling the people that I'm with what I'm telling you. This has to be between us. Do you understand? Can we trust each other?
I mean, of course, I'm doing this because I need the money, then.
Well, that's not very reassuring either. I'd like to think that you help people, that you want to help people.
Yeah, I mean, then I started to like the helping people. After it's the first time I feel my 5 hours are used for good.
All right. Well, here's some right. Well, here's some good that you can think about. I hope.
All right.
We need to look out for the one thing that security and the police are really good at doing, and that is for them to claim that we attack. All right? That's what always happens, and it only happens to the left. They'll claim that we attack. They'll use it as an excuse to box us off of campus and let the police take over instead of campus security. Because if it becomes a city police matter, Brian, they can do whatever they want. And we won't have any protection as students. And the university will say, it happened off campus, it's not our concern. I know that you can't go against your bosses too openly. But can you do anything and keep an eye out in any way to keep us from getting herded off of campus and goaded into a fight from the security? Can you help us with that?
Well, I can ask to be assigned to watch over you.
Right. Well, you already have, so that's good. Right.
Yeah, I could be you trying above you, pretending like I'm watching you so you don't start anything. And I guess that should be enough reassurance that you guys aren't starting anything, because the moment anyone starts something, I would stoop down. I can actually, not that I'm going to do it, but I can actually stoop someone down and take him with my legs and take him away, so it's cool. They can.
She's kind of looking at you going, all right. It's the thoughts kind of making her a little worried, She's, well, okay, Brian, I don't want you to get hurt either. She says, I don't know.
I'm going to be fine. I can fly.
She goes, oh, wait. And so the little, the little buzzer goes off, and it's from an 80s song. It's a Clash song. And that's her ringtone, is a Clash song on her phone. And she goes, oh, there's Matt. Okay, gotta go. We'll see you there. Right. So.
Okay, do you want me to? Okay.
Right.
Never mind.
Okay.
Hi to Matt.
Mm-hmm. So that's our situation when we have this rally on campus, and the speakers are incendiary, and they get the students who came to support them, pretty whipped up, very much on, this is about the man on the street. This is about community. This is about people who are willing to stand up for what's right. When the government won't do what's right, the people have to do it. When we're threatened, this is Texas. We don't rely on, any of the words are said with a certain inflection. We don't rely on the federal government, to take care of us. We do it ourselves. And they do a lot of, they've got the Texas flag up. They've got, they hit all the right notes as far as this is concerned. There is the recent legislation concerning whether local law enforcement is to represent Homeland Security and specifically federal agencies like ICE. And this is very much a real-life issue right now. Whether a city is going to declare itself a sanctuary city. Sanctuary cities, unlike the name implies, only mean that local law enforcement is not actively carrying out Homeland Security and ICE policy. Doesn't mean that the federal agencies can't be there doing it themselves, but it means that they're not using local law enforcement as their direct arm. And so right now, Jenny's group is trying to get San Antonio declared a sanctuary city. And so, the guy who's speaking up there, now this is in a big plaza on campus. I even found it on the campus map. It's the place with a great big paved area with all the campus buildings around it. And so there's a big crowd there, and like different groups of students are shouting at each other. And there's been a little stage set up, a little platform. It's not actually all that little. It's more like 10 meters by 10 meters, with a place to sit and a place to stand and sound systems set up and wires everywhere. And, this person is speaking into a microphone. That's obviously a very expensive sound system because there's no static or anything, no feedback. It works great. So he's talking all about this legislation. He's saying they're trying to declare us a sanctuary city and shut out all the law enforcement that will protect us from these rapists, thieves, murderers, anarchists coming in from Mexico. And he says that word Mexico, in this very specific way. And so, yes, he's saying, stop the sanctuary, stop the liberals from protecting these people. What does it come to? And so the groups of students are, he gets them chanting, Texas, Texas, and there's a group of students who've got signs that all say, Texas, but they spell it Mexican style with a J, Tejas. And so those students are getting like threatened. Other people in the crowd are looking at them. The guy even points at their signs and says, can't they even spell? Right? And so, other people in the crowd think that's hilarious and are threatening them. Rod, am I doing an okay job of the cultural scene?
This is all pretty on point.
Yeah. And from above, Brian can see, there's a group of policemen of San Antonio police have gathered in a very organized way with a line of cars, and they've opened a van and they're unloading equipment, riot control equipment and riot control weaponry. And the squads are being set up, like groups of 6 guys are being set up from this van and going off to specific positions, all off campus, but in a very organized way across those streets.
That's campus police?
No, those are the city police. And nothing's happening over there. Say again?
City police cannot enter campus, right?
Right, exactly. But they're just off campus, just on the border. And they're setting up in a very, very organized, almost paramilitary way. And so you can, and so down in the campus area, you can see that the students are behaving in a fairly disorganized way. The students who are supporting the rally don't seem to be operating in any really any organized way, but that campus security is starting to get worried. Campus security is like calling, and you're hearing it like on your little radio. You know that they're calling in. They're calling in extra people. Exactly, they're calling in extra people. Now, Finn, you're down there in the crowd, and you're kind of starting to get the kind of feel that the crowd, this kind of buffeting. The crowd is starting to move kind of randomly. So what are you going to do?
So I'm with Jen, yes?
Yes.
Found her, and yes, Jen. Look, everyone knows these guys are arseholes. Do you need to still be here? We can clear out. It's not looking good.
Right. She says, I hate to just run off. They're just going to run us off of campus. They can't intimidate us. And she kind of looks and says, Matt? And Matt's like, and Matt's kind of like, he says, it's looking like it's about time, all right. And he kind of gives you kind of not a hate stare, like, you're the ex-boyfriend, I hate you stare, but kind of that look of, well, clearly you're not one of us kind of look. What's that?
Mixed up Jen's there, I think.
Oh, wait, yes, I am. Matt's not there. Yes, correct. See, I was trying not to do that. You see, in my experience, women with the name Jennifer on their birth certificate feel very, very strongly about exactly what version of their name that they use. Mm-hmm. There's JJ, there's Jen, then there's, full Jennifer, period, right? No substitutes. Mm-hmm. Well, so here we've got Jen Edwards, and we've got Jenny. And what was Jenny's last name, Santiago? You gave her a last name.
Oh, she goes by Jennifer Power.
Right. So right, but you've been calling her Jenny, so she's Jenny Power.
Yeah, right. But that's one of the reasons I'm the ex-boyfriend.
Oh, I see. Okay, so she goes by Jennifer. Ah, got it. Right, and so whereas
I never got it.
Right. Whereas Jen Edwards is the other one. Okay, so good. Right, you're talking. So Jen Edwards is like basically sticking with you, and she says, I think you've got a point. And she says, let's, maybe we can go out. Oh my God. And she says, are those police cars? So kind of looking through the crowd. You're looking there. You've got your tracking scent, and since your senses are very good at picking up, analyzing, the details of what's going on around you, there is a shift. The scent of the crowd has just shifted. So that would be your danger sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that would be time to
move
away from the police cars, Jen. I think we need to let's try that way.
Right. Okay, so that's going on. As far as Jennifer down in the crowd is concerned, she and Matt are making their way toward a group of other people, also in black T-shirts, who are, kind of, looking around a little bit disorganized way, but they're slowly coming together and making contact with each other. So from above, you can see all these black T-shirts kind of linking up together.
Obviously, I'm still wearing my Starbucks black trousers and black T-shirt.
Oh, okay.
Ditch the apron, obviously, but not time to get anything else.
So, from above, you have there's a place with like a podium.
A big wide platform, like a big shallow stage, just this far off the ground.
Yeah. So
and then on it, there's a podium and a sound system.
All the people that rally and all the others coming in. How do you counter protest? That's what I'm asking. I mean, do they do it in a separate place? Are they all in the same place?
For the protest, there was a designated area. The people who are against the rally, there's a designated area that they're not supposed to leave. And at present, they're not leaving it. But the people in the black T-shirts that you can see from above are definitely forming a position at the edge of that position of that area.
Well, there's kind of campus cops in between.
The campus security is maintaining the integrity of that area right now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Not too much. They're not linking arms yet, but they're communicating with each other and making sure that they're all in position. But the campus security aren't stupid. They've been warned against the leftist, but they're not stupid. They're actually getting the wrong, just like Finn, they're getting the wrong feeling from the people in the main rally. That's where they're starting to look over there rather than, in fact, some of the chatter on your radio is, the hippies aren't being so bad, but, have you noticed what's going on behind us? So that's kind of the argument right now.
Well, there's one thing I've always wondered about American culture. I've seen it in movies, and it's that notion of places designated to protest, which always looks really funny, because here we just protest. We go to the streets.
I was going to say, when you protest, the first thing you do is you burn tires in the streets. That's where you start. That's not how it's done in the States. Yeah.
Yeah, because these little places, they are on the sidewalk, the cars are coming in. How can you protest if you're not stopping cars from traversing the street?
You may be interested to know that interrupting traffic is considered one of the most damning things you can say about a protest. You totally delegitimize a protest if you say that they disrupted traffic.
I mean, people here complain about that, but everyone who complains about that does it. I mean, it was really funny a few years ago. Taxi cab drivers protested against Uber.
Right.
Taxi cab drivers are known for always being very socially conservative and always complaining about when people do protests and
disrupting the traffic. First thing they did was block down the streets.
Block the streets, and everyone else was laughing so much at them for doing that because you're doing it too. How does this work? Because I have never seen a protest, a counter protest, except for that one time I saw in Plaza Moreno. You remember the biggest?
The church. Yeah.
The cathedral.
No, sorry. Yes.
Where people,
La Catedral.
La Catedral. Pro-life people inside the square, and pro-choice people going around the square, or vice versa. I don't remember. But how do you deal with two protests in the same field? I can picture it,
Well, right now the police are right. Right. So the tricky thing, of course, is that the primary rally has no designated area except the whole square, whereas the counter-protest has a designated area. So that means that the right-wing people, can actually go into the left-wing people's area and start shoving them.
Really?
And so, so it's a very one-sided situation in this case. So the campus security is not allowed to stop them, but they're allowed to stop they're allowed to break up a fight, but they're not allowed to stop them from going in. So
that doesn't make any sense. How can they be allowed inside the counter-protest zone?
Well, because free speech, Santiago.
The American one.
Are you against free speech?
But why can't the counter-protest people leave the zone?
Oh, but that would be lawless. That would be lawless. That would be we can't let anarchists
But they're always going to get shoved away. There's no way this could ever work. I mean,
I think that's the point.
Yeah, that's the point.
I was going to say, right. So,
yeah.
Not meant to be fair.
Yeah, and so anyway, yes, you can see though that there's some dangerous things going on there, and that Jennifer.
Yes, of course, I shouldn't be covering over the people to prevent them from leaving the danger zone or whatever it's called. I should be doing the opposite thing. Oh, but I can't prevent them from going in. What the fuck am I going to do? Okay, well, what is? Let me see. Police, they can break up fights, right?
The campus security, yes.
They can prevent the other guys from going in the zone, and they are not they are like to get in the sun, like right now, I guess. So
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead, Rod. Yeah.
Suggestion.
Yes.
I just don't forget you have Presence 25, which gives you quite a bit of unofficial social power.
Yeah.
Oh,
So sort of, you know what I mean?
And the students love you.
Ah, perfect. Yes, thank you. Yes, yes. That's because I was thinking, what did my character do other times, and that's probably it. Yes, because this is so new to me, you know.
Right. Right.
As a player. So yeah, when the guys say, you know, on my shoulder, you know, I actually have this on here. This is like a prop that I don't have this in the game, of course, but it has to happen.
What the hell are you doing with that in your room?
It's my sister's room. Remember, she's a clown artist. She's a clown. She works with this. This I don't know, man.
That makes sense.
Okay. I can't argue with reality. You have a megaphone. I'm not teasing you. I was just a little startled. That's all. I mean.
I know, but it's the reality of the cloning business. So,
okay.
Funny thing is, this thing has this attached to it, which you used to talk, right?
We're getting like cultural reality checks all across the whole, you know.
And I saw that the police uniforms at the UTSA, the actual police uniforms, they have like a thing like this all the time on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Black, actually. But that's how they talk. It's not like a thing like...
I understand. Yeah.
The attention for me, you know?
Yeah.
Feel like this.
Yeah.
And so I have that. And so when the guys are saying on the radio, hey, it's not the hippies, but these other guys are acting weird, I go like, I'm on it. And I slowly, ominously, like, subdone really slowly, you know. I come down from the skies and I'm hovering, like, this is the actual height of people, and I'm like this, and these are the right-wing people, and this is the designated area, and these are the hippies. And then, like,
they're not really hippies. It's just what the security calls them. But go on. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. They're wearing black shirts.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
But so I stood down here, and I used I have like a Clint Eastwood style poncho, you know.
Right.
I do that Clint Eastwood move when you
right. No, believe me, if you're flying and you've got flappy clothes, you can make it look really good. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like what's up, you know? But I don't say anything. But I have my mask has this superhero eyes, but they're black.
Right.
All black, not like Batman's white eyes.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it's scary. Yes. I'm there. I'm not saying anything, but suddenly I'm just there.
Okay.
You know, for everyone to see.
Got it. Okay. Well, this is a presence attack. And there's the way presence attacks work, of course, you've already seen it with your 5 dice. But you also, let's take a look. You're not in combat. You've got a strong reputation in this particular place. So that's +1.
Yeah.
You're exhibiting your power. That's +1. And you're in an appropriate setting for doing exactly this. In fact, I'd even say a very appropriate setting. So that's +2. So that's 9 dice of presence attack. And any minuses? There's no minuses in this particular case. So yeah, you don't even have to say anything. You've still got 9 dice coming in for you, which is very, very impressive. So now you're not telling people to do anything, which is a little tricky. You're just aiming at one emotional message, which I believe, if I'm understanding your body language correctly, is nobody take sudden action. You're basically saying everybody just calm down, I am here. In other words, sort of the implied threat of, well, if you take sudden action, I've got a sudden action waiting for you right here. So that's kind of the emotional message that I'm seeing. Go ahead and roll your 9 dice and see what multiples of 10 we get for most people.
$33.
33. That's going to be 3 times the presence of most of the people there, which means that they will obey. You have chilled down people considerably. There's going to be, even the person on the podium is going to be taken aback. It's going to be, a little rattled. Not as much as the crowd. He's got a higher presence.
I'm sorry, man.
But that person's going to kind of rattle, and you're going to actually see his hand drift toward. He's got a little what they call a fanny pack, one of these little tiny backpacks that you wear around your waist, and so it's in front like a pouch. Right. Well, his hand is going toward that, and he's like toying with the zipper on that.
He could have a gun in there. I don't know.
That's exactly
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's so uncool. How can you have a gun in a fanny pack? I mean, what's the point of having a gun if you're going to put it in a fanny pack?
This is an incredibly educational session for me. Well, it's just so you know, Santiago, that is the classic place for concealed carry.
Oh, you're kidding me, right?
No.
No,
that's
it's a thing.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
But do they have like a holster? Can you hide a holster?
I mean,
that would a hip holster would be
wearing it.
Yeah, it'd have to be concealed by clothing. Yeah, and also people have learned the hard way. All these tough guys have learned the hard way that the under the shoulder holster only works in movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Or if you have, massive training to use it. Otherwise, you just shoot yourself in the ribs. So,
So, does that mean that the concealed carry law makes you carry a gun in unsafe places, like places where you shouldn't be carrying guns?
Well...
Or easily go off...
Hence the fanny pack.
Doesn't me that... Well, I guess it's a sturdy fanny pack.
Businesses can actually specifically apply for a sign that forbids carry on their premises.
Yeah, that's right. But they've set it up, and there are places on campus where that's the case, like specific buildings, but not in the open range of campus.
I guess they are gun fanny packs, right? Like they're built to carry guns. I don't know.
I think you just
buy them.
Yeah. All right.
We're not necessarily talking about cool people, Santi.
Right.
We're very square people.
That's true. So we have. So anyway, so that's going on, and there is one concern. Finn, would you like to check your disadvantages? Would you like to check your disadvantages on your sheet?
What do you mean? The one that's likely to respond badly to corporate heroes hovering over the sea? Absolutely. Yes. Do you want me to roll some dice about that one?
Yes, I do. Let's just see if that gets activated. You're about to you might get a very bad surprise here, Santiago.
11.
Activates on a 11 or less, I believe, correct?
Yes.
Yes, it does. So I'm going to say that this is one of those classic misperception things. The way that Silverbeak comes down And the fact that you really do make this almost threatening but chill out, controlling kind of thing, which has this big impact on the crowd, in this case is interpreted, now especially with the danger sense going off, right? And then basically Finn is at this point fairly heavily adrenalized and a little concerned about Jen. In fact, let's even say that the concussion of wind, when you actually stop, there's kind of a poof outward, right? That people feel, and that Jen had happened to be badly balanced at that second. Jen had happened to be badly balanced at that section, actually loses her balance and cries out right at that point. And there he is with his great big, university subsidized law enforcement, approved,
in a costume,
celebrity, former child celebrity. This guy's got everything, right? This guy's got everything.
This guy needs taking down a peg.
That's right.
Misunderstanding fight.
Well, yeah, exactly. What's an enrage for? And so, that's right. So we're in segment 12, and you two are not the only ones acting, is all I have to say.
Well, of course. Where would be the fun in that?
Santiago, what is you have to devote at least, some points to flight to keep yourself, technically still flying. But I'd like to know how much force field you have up at this moment.
At this point?
Yeah.
Oh.
Easiest to think in units of fives. +5, +5, +10, +10.
So he's doing a multi-power?
No, this is actually an elemental control. He can, but he can adjust how much they are. If he maxes both of them, like fly max and force field max, he'll burn himself out.
Oh, it's a lot of. Oh, right.
Yeah. So I'm just asking how much. Yeah.
So
they don't trade off, though.
Right.
Yeah. The idea is that the more he flies, the more force field he gets. That's kind of it's not limited to that, but the idea is being that the force field actually goes with the flight rather than trading off with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's just say that it's too expensive to get it just to the point where I'm protected from bullets.
Yeah. So probably to be completely protected from heavy bullets, you would need 10 points of protection, but 5 is fine. For small arms, like a pistol shot, 5 is fine.
I'm not scared.
Yeah.
I'm not scared yet.
Yeah. So good. So you got 5 points of physical force field up, and the energy goes with it. So that's +5 energy, +5 physical. So that's good. Just letting you know. So that's going to be 2 points of endurance right there, and that's going to be another point of endurance to keep you flying. So that's not very much endurance that you're spending right now. Not enough to worry about for accounting. What's your dexterity, Finn? 23, correct? Or for
21.
21. And your dexterity is, I believe, only 18 or 20 for Silverbeak? Correct?
Oh, I have it. I would need 5 minutes to get it.
Okay, well, that might be a little too much. Let me look. I've got it up quicker. Hold on just a moment.
I have it on the email that you sent me.
That's right, but hold on. I've got it right here, so hold on.
Using my phone and stuff.
Right. You have dexterity 20. And speed 5. Okay. Okay, so and you've got 21, correct, Ross?
Yes.
And speed 5 as well, I think, right? Yeah. So that's fairly easy. You guys are actually quite close in speed. So at this point, it is actually Crawl who goes first. Crawl, you are at this point not transformed.
I'm just Finn in everyday clothes.
Yes.
Appearance.
But unfortunately,
I'm in a bad mood, and I'm intending to throw a paving stone at him.
You're going to what?
Throw a paving stone at him.
Oh, I see. Okay.
A little bit of clinging, proper clinging. Lift one up and
a brick, you might say.
Yeah. He's going to pick up a big, huge stone from the plaza and heave it out of there and throw it like it was a baseball at you.
Yeah. Do you think he is surprised?
He's going to have to make a perception check, and this is a very complex situation, so it's not going to be a very easy one. So, Santiago.
This is going to fuck up my presence, man. Give me a roll on 3d6, Santiago, and tell me what you get. Yeah.
11. Okay, well. So we've got to sort of position ourselves. Ross, you could have... yes, there we go.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it hardly shows up on film, does it?
It's not so bad. Yeah, it's not so bad. I got it. Got a pretty good look. It's a little turquoise, but
Right.
But on the other hand, it gives us a good idea of the scope. We're talking about a big area, but on the other hand, and lampposts and like too, you could like pluck out the lampposts and wrap them around somebody and stuff like that. And you've also got a lot of people, and right in that central area is where you have the stage set up. So
over the grass, because when he moves the screen, I see that there's a lot of grass.
Right, people are just walking around the grass as if it were pavement. Yeah, nobody's keeping off the grass. Okay, so Ross, Rod, that's good. We don't need that anymore. So, all right, so we have so you've made your perception roll, so you get the idea. You see a sudden movement from over there that doesn't look like any other movement. Maybe, but you don't have much time except that you have your defenses ready. So you don't have time to shift your powers to increase your force field. I'll tell you about that. If he hits and you want to do that, you can do it by losing your next action. But so on the other hand, you at least have your full defensive. You don't have defensive value 0, which you would have.
All right.
Or halved. So,
moving out of the way, or does it?
You'll see in a moment.
Right.
A great deal of you moving out of the way has been accomplished by you making that perception roll, which allows your full defensive value to be employed. Ross, roll to hit.
Yes. Okay. Do we need to work out what I'm rolling?
Yes, we do, because I'm letting you determine, because you're initiating the action. You tell me how far away from him you got before doing this.
Well, we were kind of trying to leave, weren't we? So I think we're probably a ways away. Let me think. Going to be at least...
Well, we're not talking like 30 meters. We're talking more like 10 or 15 meters at the most.
Yeah, I'd say 15.
Okay,
right.
So 15 meters, which is going to be 7 hexes. So the thrown object, for our purposes...
Unbalanced?
Yes, this is, well... Oh, I don't know.
Okay, let's make it balanced.
It's balanced. Balanced enough. It's a chunk. It's a chunk. I'm calling that balanced. It's at least as balanced as Wolverine when Colossus throws him. Right?
Fair enough.
I mean, it's not like a a lamppost, which... Okay. Good. Mm-hmm.
So that's -1 per 2 inches instead of -1 per 1 inch.
Mm-hmm. And the rounding favors you, so it's going to be -3.
Okay. And my OCP is 7, so 4.
Right. So 4, and you've got a defensive value of 7 as well. So it's going to be 4 on 7. You need an 8 or less to hit with that.
Well, I'm sure I'm hitting something.
Right. I'm going to give you a bonus I'm going to give you a bonus for this unexpected move. It is a bit of a surprise move. So even though he's not technically surprised, so actually 9 or less.
Okay, and I got 11.
Oh, okay. So you actually hear the noise or see the movement just in time for this paving stone, like thrown with extraordinary power to come whizzing toward you. Since you were in the crowd, Ross, I'm going to say that that's going to plow into the podium.
Excellent.
That's actually going to smash into the stage, right? And so...
So there's no way I could catch it or anything?
Say that again?
There's no way I could catch it or anything? It was all too fast?
No, at this point, the most you could have done was try to increase your defensive value by doing acrobatics or by shifting your force field higher. Those were allowed, but they would have ruined your next move. So I was going to bring that up if he hit you, that you would have had a chance to do one of those things. But since he missed you, you don't have to worry about that. Now, the miss was an active miss on your... Keeping in mind that this was an active miss, in other words, you participated in making him miss. He didn't just miss you. You actually did dodge to some extent.
That's the thing. I would actually... I don't know how fast everything was, but when we were talking about it, I was thinking, should I dodge this or let this hit me? Because I was fearing this could hit someone else.
Well, you move just after this, so I'm going to say that actually if you give up your action, that you could actually make the defensive move of actually getting in the way and trying to catch it.
Yeah, I don't care if it hits me or I catch it, but I don't want it going anywhere else.
That you can do. Considering that it was headed straight toward you, you could actually say, you know what, I'm going to try and block this. Shifting to a block is what you're doing. The defensive maneuver called a block. Okay, so in that case, you're going to, this is actually kind of interesting. You're going to succeed in getting in the way. The question is whether it damages you. So it's still going to be the roll to hit against his... Let's double check what a block does. A block gives you +0/+0. No problem. Okay, so that means that you're not going to take damage, and you are going to stop it from hitting the podium after all. Right? And the force field, protecting you helps. Let me also point out that with this very reactive move, which is actually stealing from the future, so you're going to lose your next action. But with that kind of motion and with the way that your power is defined, there's actually going to be a small sonic boom. So this is actually going to have this concussive air, coming out from you in 360 degrees. The globe of air being displaced to do this is significant. So that happens. And Ross, I think your recovery will cover for the 8 endurance that you just spent. Right. So everybody's back to 0 at the end of 12. Fine. So now he's stopping this, and you suddenly realize that to throw this, I mean, you personally cannot possibly pick this thing up, let alone throw it. Yes, correct. Yeah. Silverbeak could not pick this up. Just off the ground.
How big is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're talking about a literal boulder. That somebody apparently just pried up out of the ground and miraculously threw at you. This would quite clearly have killed an ordinary person. Or close to.
I know that.
Or maimed them, certainly.
I know that it came from the counter-protest people, right?
Yes, correct. And you can see. Well, let's see about you seeing in just a second. You just stole from the future, like I said. You're kind of occupied. Coming in on at the end of segment 12, a whole bunch of people, particularly people at the podium, will suddenly reveal themselves to be armed. They are preparing their weapons, and they form up in a very organized way. You can hear the campus security people, like all the radios of campus security go off saying, "What was that? Holy shit, what's going on?" The campus security are all activating, but they don't know what to activate about. Segment 3. Crawl goes first.
I believe, having done a block, Silverbeak.
Right, he stole from the one in 12. So then but you go first. You have 21. He has 20. So in segment 3, Crawl goes first.
But I think the block rules set him up so that he can go first if he wants to.
You know what? Not in this circumstance. Not in this circumstance, I think.
Right.
Yeah, special effects of the situations overrule that. If he had been blocking you hand to hand, yes, but not now. Yeah.
Okay.
So
right.
Especially because he wasn't even sure exactly who you were, and he hasn't made the perception check he needs to. He needs to take a half phase action to make a perception check, even to figure out that it was you. So first things first, make your recovery roll. Or rather, roll for recovery. For enraged.
Oh, okay. I got a 6.
Oh, excellent. Okay. Well, your head clears. And all of a sudden you realize, you're like, okay.
The riots. What am I doing?
That's right. And maybe was that guy really attacking me? I'm not sure,
Well, he probably had it coming, but
yeah.
But I look around. Sorry, help Jen up because she's on the ground, and I guess it's time to start moving away through the crowd. I'm probably pushing people out the way.
Okay. Well, you've got extra running, and you're strong enough, so you're going to make your way through the crowd pretty carefully.
Probably change if I want to do that. But,
well, let's see.
I'm not changing it.
Really, I didn't think so. I mean, you can.
But no, I'm strong enough to elbow us through the crowd, though. So.
If you hadn't recovered from being enraged, I would have asked you to make an ego roll to see if you could keep from changing. That was my plan.
Would be feasible.
Yeah. You're not that far from the Hulk in certain ways. And unfortunately, you seem to have dodged it this time. So here you are, working your way through. Right, working your way through the crowd, and you've got Jen, and she's saying to you, Finn, stay cool. Come on, Finn. She's trying to talk you down. Yeah.
Yes.
Can we take a minute?
Yeah, sure, Santiago. What's up?
No, it's a bathroom break.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Ross, I'm leaving you out, so let's cut to you in just a second.
Rod.
Yeah. Oh. Starting all over again. Yeah.
That's right.
I've gone my whole life with people calling me Rob.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Yeah. So I'm just glad that we don't have one.
Maybe we should call Santiago Rob instead.
There you go. Ron, the other game, when Ross was cutting out, I was trying to talk about something. I didn't quite express it, but I think I sort of know a little better how to say it, which is because I GM'd a couple of Masks games. And the thing about the PBTA thing when you make a move as a GM is you don't really get to be surprised by the outcome of your move the way like you can in this game.
I'm frequently surprised. Yeah,
you'll roll dice to see if talk to each other, what
right.
they do.
Right.
And that's interesting. Like, that's something that you miss out on, is just the ability to not have to be the one who just says.
Tell you the truth, I find I have really tried to be generous about the Powered by the Apocalypse thing. Ultimately, I don't dislike it as much as I dislike Fate, but I'm starting to dislike it. Particularly as I watch Angel struggle in the Monster Hearts game because he can't hurt us.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly it.
And things don't happen. You know what I mean? The system doesn't lock things down into channels that make everybody have to cope. And you can see him kind of getting tired, through the course of play, as he kind of has to keep having to pick up the ball, and rely on us being the sources of surprise.
What game are you talking about?
At this point, any Powered by the Apocalypse game, at least in the sense that people use that term, except for Vincent, who apparently thinks it means anything. So,
anyway,
yes.
Go back to your
No, but that's an important point, though, Rod. Yeah, I am surprised at every single face. That's. So now,
I'm frustrated.
Yes. So then, Finn is working his way through the crowd with Jen. Now, Santiago, I am assuming that one thing you're going to want to do is to figure out where that stone came from, right?
Just one question, because I had a disconnect from you. And you said that in one segment that the people in the podium were revealing themselves. I don't know as what.
To be armed.
They were taking out their guns.
But that's part of the course.
And so
I assume, I don't know.
It's a little unusual, actually. I mean, technically,
they can do that legally, right?
What I was going to say is the people actually participating in the rally probably were under a rule saying that they couldn't have them. So therefore,
really?
Yeah, the people who are speaking. And so therefore it's a little bit of a surprise. There are people who are probably designated bodyguards who are allowed to cab them. But all I have to say is that the people at the podium and on the stage, some of them are revealing that they have guns,
and that they weren't supposed to have them.
Potentially, at least some of them may not have been allowed. Yes, but the clear and present danger of them shooting at anybody and calling it self-defense is very, very, very high.
Are we talking about? How many?
4?
Volume. You know what? Is one of them, like the guy who was talking, is one of them sort of a leader, or?
Yes. He's the guest he's from this group that's, a national group or a state group that has been called in by these students on campus to come and speak.
All right, so, I'm not so sure how the game mechanics work, but...
Just tell me what you do.
I don't care about the rock. I don't want to lose time on the rock. As fast as I can, I fly towards the main guy and scoop him off, and take him up like a few. Yeah, I would take all 4 of them if I could, but I can't take that many people.
Perfect.
But I scoop him right now.
Perfect.
With my legs.
All right.
Close to my legs.
I see. So you basically, okay, so the only thing you need to do is to make a roll 3 dice to grab him properly. But this is very surprising to him, so you're going to get a big old bonus for this. Or another way to look at it is that his defense is dropped significantly. So it's not going to be very hard.
We are positive that he wasn't supposed to be having a gun or so it, right?
Correct.
He's out of... Alright, perfect. A 7.
That's not a problem. That you want to roll low.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
That's great.
There's a number, and you're trying to roll under it. So yes, that is a veritable hit. You have swooped, you have seized, and gone up. And for a full move, which is what you're doing, that's going to be that was once every 5. Yeah, that's going to be, I believe, 4 endurance. And so then to use your strength is 2 more. So you just spent 6 endurance. And so you fly up and you've got him up in the air and he's completely...
I fly straight up because I want the other guy to look at me, to be distracted by me.
Got it, yes.
Not to go, where is he? Where is our leader? No, he's up there. He's 10 meters into the sky. I don't know. 3 floors.
And not only that, yes, I got it, and not only that, I just made a roll for him which says that he doesn't drop his gun. Just letting you know. So, strangely enough, he was able to keep his wits enough to hang on to it. So, all right, so that's... Go ahead, Ross.
Can I see this happening?
Well, hold on. You've already made your move this round. Yeah.
I just wanted to do some dialogue, that was all.
Oh, dialogue is free. Go for it.
Well, I can see it.
Sure.
Saying to Jen, obviously the damn campus cops are just, they're just looking out for those arsehole right-wingers again.
Right. Well,
taking him to safety.
Right.
Come on!
You can't have a proper superhero on superhero fight without misunderstanding.
So.
Right. Anyway. Yes.
On segment 4, the good news is that the guys down on the podium who were going to start just shooting into the crowd have a different target entirely. So I'll just do a little shooting now.
Sure.
Only one of them hits you, and so 2 and...
Just so we clarify, they are shooting at Lego.
Yeah, and so a pistol bullet hits your force field, only does 2 points of killing damage, which doesn't penetrate the force field where you had set it before, which, by the way, is still costing you 2 points of endurance. I told you you spent 8, you actually spent 12 to keep it going. And so, therefore, total. And so, yes, and also with that much stun protection, too, the bullet has no effect. But 3 bullets were fired, or 3 guns were fired toward you, and one of them is stopped by your force field. So you have been actually shot at. Your character, as I wrote the disadvantages, takes double stun from killing attacks, because your character is a little green about these things. So you are going to take some stun damage. So you had 5 plus the 5. Right, you're actually going to take about 8 points of stun. So mark your stun down by 8 points.
Alright, so... stun by 8 points. Alright.
Right. In other words, your character doesn't like bullets, knives, and stuff like that coming in and hitting you.
How does this mean I have like a stand number that I have to subtract from? Or
yes, you have a certain You have a certain number of stun and it might be useful to know what that is, so hold on. Yes, you have 25 stun and you just lost 8.
That leaves me at 17.
Right. Exactly. Okay, so that was on segment 4. Segment 5, Crawl.
Yes. Yeah, I think continue trying to get out of the area. Maybe head towards one of the university buildings.
You can do that. As an alternative, you do come across, there is a manhole cover. You know, one of those drains in the ground, like a rain drain. You know, where water goes.
Yeah. Okay.
Just letting you know that that's there. It's not that big, but you're a little squishy.
I'm squishy, but I'm not sure what Jen thinks.
It's not that small, but it's made for a person to go down into it if they have to.
Yeah. My plan was to try and sort of break into one of the school university buildings rather than head out into the cops in the street. But I'll go with down a storm drain. This sounds more fun.
It just strikes me as something your character can do.
Oh, absolutely.
And they do have those on campus. That's not a surprise. So,
okay, I will try and avoid ripping and throwing manhole covers around so
right.
I don't hit anybody else.
Right. But prying that up with your strength is no problem, and scooting down it with Jen is not a problem either. So,
we'll do that.
Excellent. Santiago.
Yes.
You have diverted their attention to you, and although the campus security know that shots are fired, they can easily tell by whom, and you're their guy, right? They don't like people shooting at you. So even though they've been strictly and sternly ordered to focus on the left-wing counter-protesters, Gardner in particular, and this is specifically because you impressed him earlier, so that Gardner is very much on your side about these things. And he was like, everybody, podium, full lockdown, now. Get those guns. And so on their move, they're going to go in and this campus security will drop the students and they will take those guys down.
So I don't have to worry about the guy shooting anyone?
Correct. You do have to worry about the guy who you're holding, who's going to do his very level best to shoot you.
But he's going to die if he shoots me. He's going to fall.
In defense of liberty. And he said, well, and you're dealing with an ideologue here.
This is so stupid.
You can, of course, inform him of the stupidity of this act. Speaking is free in this game.
Oh, right. So I'm going to tell him. Do I know who he is?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sure. This is. I don't know. What's a good name for him, Rod?
Ben Robbins.
Ben Robbins.
All right. He's like 40 or 50, right? He's older than me.
Yep.
I assume. Yes. So I tell him. Oh, Mr. Robbins, please don't do a silly thing like shooting me, because I'm the only thing that's helping you now. Do you see the ground under us?
Okay. Roll 7 dice.
So, all right.
Right, you get the 5 for your presence. -1 for combat, but you've displayed your powers in a very decisive way. So, comes
How
up.
about the very, very appropriate situation bonus?
19.
Okay. That's 1 times his present. You definitely can. He hesitates so he doesn't take a shot at you, so that you can basically control the situation. He is not convinced, and he is calling you all sorts of things, and is saying that they know who you are. They're going to come get you now, and you can't hide from the sons of from the defenders of liberty. So he's threatening you in all sorts of ways.
I can take his gun, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I have to say, well, I have his gun now.
Yeah, the hesitation on the presence attack makes that easy. So, yeah. You're like, give me that. Oh, no.
You know what?
Typical of the federal government.
Yeah, that's right. Taking his guns. Yeah.
Yeah.
This word. I've seen it written, but I don't know how you pronounce it. It piqued my curiosity. How do you say that?
To pique your curiosity. Yeah, yeah.
It piqued my curiosity. What?
No, you said it correctly. Go ahead.
It piqued my curiosity. So instead of letting him, you know what? I'm going to tell him this. Well, you know what, Mr. Robbins? Now you've made me curious. Whatever. I was going to just how do you say to land you easily and allow you to be arrested, but it's a bit of things to talk about. So I fly with him to the nearest rooftop. The nearest building is.
That's that big administrative building at the end of the path there. Yeah.
Yes, I fly with not too fast, but I fly him towards there, land, and I plan on having a I don't know if it's still my turn or not.
Yeah, we're in good shape now. I mean, you're basically the round is over as far as most of the problems are concerned. So you go ahead.
Yes. So
technically, this is segment 5. So yes, go ahead.
Yes. So I don't want to get too distracted about what's happening on campus. So when I fly towards the building, what do I see around? Are they fine or are they breaking into fights? Anything?
The events have disorganized people so that there is no really dedicated problem. In other words, the biggest problem was people who had prearranged plans who would put them into action. So you can see Matt attempting to organize a bunch of other people to act as a group, but things are too confused, and the whole stone throwing and the bullets and things like that and the dramatic actions that you've taken captured people's attention enough that they're not entirely certain what's going on. Campus security actually ignoring the counter-protesters was perhaps the safest thing that could have happened. So, the disruption of the speaker completely defused the right-wing students because they've lost their legitimacy. So, yeah. So that actually worked really well. So things aren't really great, but. Okay, so you do.
So I go with the guy to the rooftop, and I land him, just hurt him, but I left him so that he tumbles for a bit, you know.
Right. You're going to put him down not too gently, correct? Yeah.
Yes, not going to hurt him either, but yes, he's going to be. And before he reacts, I assume I have handcuffs, right? As part of the campus police.
Correct.
So I suddenly act as if I were a regular police officer. You know, as soon as he's getting on his feet, I'm standing like a regular person and telling him, "You're under arrest.
Right.
Right. no, you had no permission to show a gun, whatever, and listen to what he has to say.
All right.
Because he was so right on,
Right. Well, he's going to. Right. He is going to say, what are you going to do? The cops are on our side. There's 100 cops here who swear that you assaulted me. This is assault. You freak.
No, man. What assault? I mean, you're under arrest. What were you doing?
He says,
holding a gun.
Self-defense.
In front of all those people.
He said, self-defense. It's my right to bear arms.
Yeah, but you didn't have that right on campus, You know this.
He's saying, go ahead. I'll fight this in court, and I'm going to win. This is exactly what we need. This is exactly what we need. Shutting down free speech and the right to bear arms here on campus. We were invited here.
All right, I've had enough of this clown. I was he has his back to me because I was
right
putting on the handcuffs. So I turned him back around and I look at him with my
black
eyes. I tell him, if you really... No, I tell him, enough posturing. If you're really to tell me why. No. Let me see.
Santiago. Santiago.
I want to do something scary, man.
I know you do. You can, but give me a minute while you think about it. And also, in the meantime, roll 3d6 for your ego attack.
All right.
Because your telepathy is going to kick in right here. There's no way that it wouldn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah. His telepathy is unpredictable. He can make it go on and off. He can make it go on when he wants, but it also goes on when he doesn't want, and it's hard for him to turn it off. He has to make an ego roll to turn it off. So, yeah.
All right. 7.
All right. Roll 5d6. Perfect. All right. Yeah, they actually had a deal with the local police, and you get the name of the police chief that they made the deal with. That they were going to have they were planning on having the counter protesters get blamed for a clash, and then they would get credit for helping keep the peace. Because they were armed. They had a whole plan for it.
And I got the name of the guy?
Yeah. All right. I'm going to leave you here for now because poor Rod has been waiting forever and ever. And so, Rod, did you want to see Father Ochoa?
Yeah, let's do that.
That was my impression that you were kind of up for next.
Yeah. Let's go ahead. He's in the hospital.
Yeah.
So we can just, put me in his room, sort of
easily
standing by his bedside.
Yeah.
And just saying, "Are you all right, Father? I was told that they did something to you."
Well, he is definitely mentally incapacitated. He recognizes you. He recognizes you, and he tries to talk.
Okay.
but is obviously in distress.
All right. Do we have privacy?
Sure.
Okay. Is there a way I can give him ego? Like, is that a thing?
Ego defense, usable on others.
Okay. So, assuming that's within the point range.
Yeah, I mean, if to do that, and especially since it's not at range, it's just at touch. That's actually not all that expensive. If you really want to make it a nice, healthy ego defense and get about 20, then that'll be about 30 points, which is your very pool, right?
Yeah. So I'm just saying I can put nothing else is going on.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So just
you're not in combat, so you don't need to make your control roll. So you can just switch that on and do that. And yes, that will basically remove the impact of the mind control that Brimstone stuck on him.
Right. Is that something I can permanently, or is this just while I'm doing it?
How am I going to put it? Mind control continues without endurance cost as long as it's maintained by the other person. So all you got to do is break it, and then it can't be maintained.
Okay.
Right.
The implication is that Brimstone is actually on the other end of this.
Correct. Call. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll sort of, summon one of my scrolls and books and call forth this sort of golden scarab that I place on his forehead and say, your thoughts should be clear now, Father.
Aha. Okay. Well, good enough. So you do, and okay. Yes, he's back. He's restored.
Okay.
And the first thing he does is clutch you and say, how sorry he is that that he had no idea that that these guys were going to come after him, but now he says it was horrible. I can't So yes, you have saved him.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, as far as specific information and stuff like that, we should probably proceed with that later. So he can tell you who they were. This is a group that's run by Z. That's called Ghost.
Okay.
And so this is it's their sort of black ops team, of which there are several members, and these were two of them. Well, suffice to say, they have a military background,
right,
and are not known particularly to operate inside the United States, except now that they're working with ICE,
which makes them domestic terrorists.
Yeah, well, or outsourced privatization of border security is a known thing, after all. And as I say, I mean, the head of Z was called to testify before Congress, and he impressed them greatly. Yeah. Impressed them greatly with his patriotism and sincerity, as we all know.
I'm just saying, I know a lot of lawyers.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
He's actually pretty worried that he's trying to say it nicely, but he doesn't think you're up for it.
Okay.
He says we have to go underground or something. We have to back down on this one. These people are terrible. They could.
Well, Father, you're definitely going underground. Use the network to keep yourself mobile. I have resources I haven't begun to tap yet.
Mm-hmm. Finn.
Yes.
Jen is happy with you, and is except that she's worried. She's kind of like she's worried that your edginess, mm-hmm. She's aware that you might actually have.
The riot.
Yeah. She's like, I brought you there to protect me, not to start a shooting war. and tries to get it across to you that the crazy bird guy actually helped somehow.
I'm really not listening to when he says it.
Oh, okay. All right. That's not going well. Right.
Probably acknowledge it after.
Right, but so that conversation probably doesn't go that well in and of itself, but you will be interested to note that there is a car in the driveway of your parents' house when you get there. And it is a nice little sporty car, which should probably imply exactly who is home.
Oh, yes. It must be him.
Yes.
I'm very tempted to just not go in the house.
Okay, good enough. Yeah.
I want to find out.
Maybe next time.
Okay, yeah. Good enough. You're going to go to the garage?
I'm waiting forever.
You're feeling a little...
Let's go to the garage.
Right, you're feeling a little peaky. You need a dose of your fluids. So you can head in there. There does seem to be a problem. You are susceptible to the fluids as well as dependent upon them in their contained spaces where you control their distribution and stuff like that is no big deal. Some of it is not behaving. Some of it, for lack of a better word, has escaped. And there is a mobile puddle of this stuff on the floor of the garage, which is flowing toward you in a most unpuddly and rather motivated way. You take 14 stun from its very presence, against which there is no defense. What are you going to do?
Run for the door and try and shut it before it gets any closer.
Are you going outside?
Yes.
Okay, so you go ahead. Well, you're very fast, so that actually shouldn't be too much of a problem. He has extra running and stuff. And do you use a tentacle to help you get out the door even faster, like by reaching it out, grabbing and yanking yourself along?
Yeah.
Okay, right. So just so Santiago knows, this guy's got tentacles grows out of his back and stretches out and grabs the door, and he snaps over there, as he runs as well. So slams the door behind him, I imagine. Well, you didn't get your dose. So the susceptibility catches in well. Take 11 more stun. So both getting hit from both directions on your powers problems there. So you are both overdosed and withdrawn at the same time.
This is not going. Not a nice way to end the day.
Right. So what will you do?
But perhaps I'll try and work out a good solution tomorrow. I'm going to quickly change back into normal thin form and go in the house.
Oh, great. Well, you and Liam are going to have a fine time. The worst part of it is just how nice he is.
Oh, he must be.
Excellent.
Maybe have a quick whiskey or something, and it will take the edge off.
Sure. He's going to talk a little bit about the news. So let's see here. Here's Liam. Great. Liam is making free with the food in the refrigerator, some of which you were planning on eating, and also drinking one of Dad's beers, and is happy to, says hi, compliments you on, seem to be taking care of the place pretty nice. That's great. As he, drops food on the floor of the kitchen, as he's eating. and is more than happy. And mess and not, he opens another beer and like shoves it toward you and says, "You don't look so good."
Oh, it's been a weird day.
You okay?
I give him I'll be all right. I'll give him a hug. Perfect.
Right. So he says, "So yeah, I'll be here for a few days." And
that's great to see you.
Listen, why don't you come on down? Why don't you come on down to the base with me tomorrow? Meet some people.
Yes, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do that.
I mean,
sports bubble rather than him poking in the garage.
Right. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so let's hold off on that for now. The only thing that will come down for you is that your father calls, and he's very upset because he's got a legal communication from Monsanto that basically has hit him with a whole bunch of legal fees. They're charging him for the payment for Vorsky and Fred to go to the university. They're billing your father.
They're billing my father? Why?
Because they can?
They are Monsanto lawyers. I don't get it. Why would they bill my father lawyer?
They're basically saying that you guys are liable for the costs for them to handle the problematic details of this case.
And why my father? Because I actually inherited the power from my mother's side.
Yes, but your father currently is listed as your legal nearest relative, and is the and so there you go.
All right. So I have to have a chat with Dad.
Excellent. All right, everybody. Good night.
All right.
Wish me luck on all the craziness. All right, guys. Take care.
All right. See you later.
Good night.